Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Russia and Ukraine. I haven't spoken about Russia-Ukraine for a long time, and there's some new developments which have come out, and we're going to discuss that. Before I start, don't forget to watch the video to the end and like and share and comment. That really helps the algorithm. But watching the video to the end really helps a lot. Also, guys, make sure you join my Telegram. The link is in my description. And the Telegram channel, I'm quite active. I'm messaging a few people who have already joined, so everyone can talk to each other. It's a really good Telegram channel, so make sure you join that. And without further ado, let's start. So Trump has done a very shocking 180 a couple of days ago. He sent a Truth Social post, and in that post, it was quite shocking actually. It's completely 180 compared to a couple months ago when he met Putin and everything seemed fine. They were shaking hands, they were talking about peace, and the Europeans were absolutely panicking. And I really thought that, maybe Trump can do this. He can actually salvage some peace between Russia and Ukraine. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It's typical Trump. He does one thing one day and completely turns on a dime the other day. You just cannot trust Trump. You just don't know what mood he's going to be from one day to the next. One day he'll be your best friend, the next day he'll be your worst enemy, and that's typical Trump. Luckily for Russia, they're not that stupid. They know what Trump is like, and they never took Trump seriously, and they carried on with the SMO in Ukraine, and rightly so. Even Putin was very, he didn't take Trump too seriously. He still met him and, shook hands and stuff like that. But he knows, and I think everybody knows, you cannot trust Trump with anything. He'll turn on you, he'll do 180s. You can't agree on any agreements with him. He'll wake up tomorrow and he'll cancel the agreement, or he'll tear the agreement up, he'll tear all the signatures up. So you cannot really agree with Trump with anything. It's just no point. So what did he say in his Truth Social post? Let's go through it. And he said a couple of things, first of all. He said, first of all, Russia is a paper tiger. So he's really insulting Russia at this point. I mean, what what leader in this world calls Russia a paper tiger? I mean, Russia is a military superpower. And despite Ukraine having all the weapons from NATO, United States, Europe, Russia is taken on not just Ukraine, but all of Europe, all of United States. They have been given weapons and money for years. They have been talking about Russia is going to be defeated, Ukraine was winning. So it doesn't make sense why he suddenly calls Russia a paper tiger. It's really insulting, and it's really lack of brain power here. It's a very, very low IQ thing to say. What other things did he say? You can see he also said that Ukraine can take back all its territory as well, um, which is ridiculous. How can Ukraine take back all that territory? They've been trying for a couple of years, and if they haven't done it so far, how are they going to do it now? He said other things as well. He said NATO should shoot down Russian aircraft. So he's really pushing for World War III here. It really doesn't make sense what he's doing. And then he says Zelensky is a brave man, and this is a complete 180. Beginning of the term. Remember when Zelensky was in the Oval Office and you know, Trump shot him down. He was saying, "Oh, he's got no cards. He's he doesn't know what he's doing. He's corrupt. He's a fool." And he was calling him all sorts of names and putting him down. And suddenly he's a brave man. And he also asked for Europe to end its purchase of oil and gas from Russia. Well, that's only because he wants Europe to buy expensive oil and gas from the United States. That's the only reason why he said that. United States is also trading with Russia, by the way. They have bought huge amounts of uranium, and they're also buying a lot of rare earths from Russia and other things as well. So United States is doing trade with Russia, but they want Europe to stop all trade with Russia. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And finally, he said, you can see here, even though he called Russia a paper tiger, he also said Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. I mean, look at the arrogance of this man here. How long did United States fight the Taliban in Afghanistan? More than 20 years. How long did they fight the Iraqis? It took them 20 years. They had huge amounts of losses, lost trillions and trillions of dollars. And if you look back, actually, you know, I don't think United States has ever won a war in its recent history. You can probably give them World War II, but World War II they weren't fighting alone; they were fighting with all the allies. So you can't really count that. We're talking about wars that United States has fought alone, and even the first Gulf War, United States fought with many allies at the time, Britain and coalition of the willing, as they call it. And so if you look back, United States lost the Vietnam War, they have lost the Korean War, you know, they've lost loads of wars they fought in South America. They lost in Afghanistan, they've lost in Iraq. Pretty much all the major wars the United States has fought in its recent history, they've lost. So for them to say that Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, he really should have taken a real military less than a week to win. I mean, yeah, sure. That's a really low IQ thing to say, guys. Very low IQ. I mean, first of all, Russia has not been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years. This is a war of attrition. This is not a war. Russia does not want land here. They're fighting an SMO, and SMO has three conditions. And one of the conditions is to demilitarize Ukraine and denazify Ukraine. And that's what they're doing. I mean, they are slowly, piece by piece, demilitarizing Ukraine. And what, they're not actually pushing for land. All they want to do is for the Ukrainian military to collapse. So they're fighting along the borders, and you can see the deaths as well. I mean, you have 10 Russian soldiers versus 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers who are dying on a daily basis. And how do I know this? I know this because every month they do a body transfer, which means all the dead bodies, Russian bodies, are returned, all the dead Ukrainian bodies are returned. So you can see the body count, when you have thousands of Ukrainian soldiers being returned and only dozens of Russian soldiers being returned, you can tell the body count between the two countries. And this is why this is a war of attrition. Russia is trying to destroy, you know, fighting capacity of Ukraine by killing as many troops as they can and also destroying as many equipment as they can. And they're doing this slowly. I think Russia's learned a lot from this war. In the beginning, they were taking a lot of losses because they were doing too much. They had too much land, and they couldn't defend themselves because they were overexerting themselves. But things are much better now for Russia, and they're taking their time. They are in control, and that's what's happening. So there's other papers who are actually got this Trump's message correct, because sometimes you have to read between the lines and you have to ask yourself, why has Trump suddenly done a 180? And this article got the correct understanding. I think a few other articles have got it as well. And the reason Trump has actually sent that message is basically he's handing over Ukraine to the EU, and he's handing it over, and he's given them some motivation by saying Ukraine can take all the land back, and Ukraine can win, and all they need are weapons and money. And so it's basically giving a bit of motivation to the Ukrainian troops, who are obviously, some of them are just brainwashed, to be honest with you. And he's also given the Europeans kind of some confidence as well. You guys can win. You guys can beat Russia. Russia's a paper tiger. They're not real military. So he's not trying to scare them. He's actually trying to egg them on to their deaths. It's quite evil if you think about it. So he's basically saying, Russia's a paper tiger. Go attack Russia. They're easy. You can beat them easily, and that's what he's trying to say. So he wants more European lives to be lost. He wants more Ukrainian lives to be lost, and this is his plan. And also, he wants the Europeans to pay for it all, and all the weapons that are going into Ukraine now is all being paid by the Europeans, and they're paying it by loans. They're paying it using Russian assets, frozen assets as well. The interest from that, I mean, and they're also paying it from their own pockets, especially Germany. So this could be like a very clever uh, Truth Social post to basically wash his hands of Ukraine, give it to the EU, tell them that Russia's easy, they can easily win the war, so they buy more weapons, and so Ukrainians fight harder, and that's his plan. And unfortunately, his plan is quite short-sighted because number one, he's made an enemy of Russia again. Putin's not going to trust him. Russians are not going to trust him because if you keep doing 180s like this, I mean, he's just he's just pushing himself further away from peace. He claimed that he can end this war in 24 hours. He's not going to end this war in 24 hours if he keeps, turning turning 180s every single day. Every single day he seems to be changing his position on Ukraine, changing his mind. So you cannot have peace if you keep doing that. And it's very amateurish the way he's kind of going about doing things, to be honest. And this is going to fail also badly as well because Ukraine's not going to win. Europeans are definitely not going to win. They're running out of money. There's going to come a time when they've run out of complete money. European countries are going to start crashing. Their leaders are going to be pushed out of office. And Russia's going to win. And they're going to take a huge amount of land from Ukraine all the way to Odessa and maybe all the way to Kiev as well. Take probably half of Ukraine. And United States would be responsible. It'll be Trump's fault because he's the person in power doing this. He needs to own it. He's the one that's responsible. So, end of the day, this is all going to fail badly on everyone, not only on Trump, but also on Europe, also on Ukraine. Ukrainian lives are going to be lost. This is going to be a huge embarrassment for the United States. You know, Trump likes to brag that United States is powerful, everyone listens to them, everyone's afraid of them. But if Russia wins this war, this is going to be a huge hit to America's standing in the world. And what countries are going to trust Russia? I mean, United States after all of this. So I think that's the plan, but I think the plan's going to fail big time. So another thing that's come out of this meeting is Trump looks like he's going to approve some long distance missiles to hit Moscow. And if that happens, then all hell's going to break loose. I think Moscow's going to start escalating this war. They're going to start hitting American NATO bases. They will probably send lots of weapons to Venezuela and Iran and other countries. And which is going to be a major thorn in America's plan for world domination. And if that happens, I think it's going to be bad news for America. I think there's going to be some huge escalations. And it's an escalation that America cannot afford to. They cannot afford to fight Russia Not now because they're having huge economic issues. They are absolutely broke. They've got huge debt that they need to deal with. Trump's base is not going to ask for another war because he got voted into office because he said he was going to be peace president. He's not going to have any more wars. So now he's going to basically push himself into a war with Russia. And it's going to be Trump's fault. It's going to be totally Trump's fault. And China's not going to sit by and watch Russia fall. So China's going to help Russia. And China's manufacturing capacity, they will offer Russia as much missiles and materials as they need to win the war with the United States and Europe. So Russia's not going to fall. China's not going to allow it. This is one war that United States is not going to win, not by a long shot. Um, so so they've basically said that they need to double their missile capacity to fight China. So one minute they are increasing likelihood to fight Russia on one direction, and then they want to double their missile production to fight China. I mean, let me tell you something. China can 200x or 500x their missile production overnight if they wanted to. China has, you know, is the world manufacturing giant, and plus with AI, robotics, automation, we can have factories started right now, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 500,000 factories just starting overnight. And all of them will have missile production factories running overnight, running with AI, running with robotics, and no human interaction will be needed. And they can just churn out these missiles 500x, 1000x. Is that something America can compete with Russia? I mean, compete with China as well as Russia? I don't think so. So let me know what you guys think, guys. Do you think we're going to have a major escalation between America and Russia? It's a war that they do not want with Russia. And uh, and plus, do you just laugh when you see articles such as this? They want to double missile production to fight China. I mean, come on. Where are they going to get the rare earths from? They need these rare earths from China to make the missiles in the first place. China's already not allowing any rare earths going into America. So it's just a joke, guys. Absolute joke. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to join my Telegram. Thanks a lot, guys.